What's up, guys? I'm CopperPitch, and I'm going to give you a set breakdown of the new upcoming set, Aetherdrift. I'm going to be showing you all the best cards, uncommons and commons. We're not going to look at rares and mythics. I'm going to give you everything you need to know in under 10 minutes or less. Also, sorry, my dog is licking herself. The first thing you need to know about drafting Aetherdrift is that it is a set about speed and vehicles. So these vehicles, there are 37 of them in this set. However, most of them are just bad and you can ignore them. Unless they're rare and mythic rare, then most of those ones are good or even much better than good. So basically, if it's not rare, it's probably bad. There are some exceptions, and I'll show you in a minute. So the first thing you need to know is, what is speed? Speed is a mechanic that starts when you play a card that says start your engines. That starts you at 1. The max speed is 4. After you've started your engines, every one of your turns, once per turn, you are able to deal damage to your opponent's face. That will then increase your speed by 1. So you start at 1 automatically when you start your engines, and then you can get to 2 on that same exact turn, the following turn to 3, the following turn to 4. And that is called max speed. There are some cards with payoffs for having max speed, and even fewer cards that allow you to use your current speed to do something. Because of speed, I think certain cards are going to be even better in this set, namely cards that are elusive, that have flying, that are able to get through blockers, or things that do pings. If you can deal 1 damage when you die, then you're a better card because you can increase speed in decks that care about increasing speed. So the other newish mechanic for this set is Exhaust, which is something you can perform on your creatures 1 time only. And the first card we're going to look at has Exhaust here. It is a Sky Serpent Seeker. It is green-blue. It is a 1/1 flying Death Toucher. That in and of itself is okay. However, the Exhaust ability is pretty insane. For 4, you can reveal cards from the top of your library until you hit 2 land cards. You get to then put those lands onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So in and of itself, the +1/+1 doesn't really matter that much. Now you have a 2/2 flyer, which is pretty cool. But the Exhaust ability is what makes this truly special. On turn 4, you can leave this up. Your opponent swings. You can then trade it off. But right before you trade it off, you can Exhaust 4. You then get to ramp 2. On your next turn, you're going to have 7 mana accessible to you, which is pretty nuts. If you go first and you play this and then do this on turn 4, I mean, you've just ramped absurdly high. You'll be able to play anything in your entire deck. So this card is great at being able to ramp. It's great at being able to block because it's got Death Touch. And it's also great at being able to increase speed because it's got flying. And green-blue does have some stuff that you'll want to ramp towards. There's some very large creatures and vehicles. Next up, let's talk about Haunt the Network. This is a 3 blue-black sorcery. Choose target opponent, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact tokens with flying. Then the chosen player loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Blue is especially all about artifacts. So basically, blue-black and blue-white are where you're going to want to be if you are in blue. And this blue-black card here is the payoff. Basically, if you can get yourself 20 artifacts on the battlefield, you're going to be in good shape and you can go ahead and kill your opponent. You're really going to want to run something along the lines of 20 artifacts, and it's not that hard. In this set, there are 82 artifacts, so many of them are creatures, vehicles, all kinds of things. Many of those artifacts create other artifacts, treasure tokens, things of that nature, colorless Thopter tokens, etc. There are tons of artifacts and even more ways to get artifacts from your artifacts. So it's not unimaginable to think that this could actually be X equals 15. Next, we got the Rangers' Aether Hive. It is a 1 green-blue artifact vehicle, 3/5 vigilance. Whenever you activate an Exhaust ability, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, crew 1. So basically with this one, you get to activate your Exhaust cards, which then creates perfect pilots for this because it only has crew 1. So as long as you can build around this card and get a few Exhaust abilities, you're going to be able to pop off, get a bunch of colorless Thopters, and then be able to crew this whenever you want. It's a 3/5 for 3. Pretty good looking vehicle. Now we've got Gastal Thrill Seeker. Is a black-red creature. Is a 2/3 for 2. Start your engines. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent and you gain 1 life. Max speed, this creature has Death Touch and Haste. For only 2 mana, on turn 2, you get yourself to speed 2 automatically. That is huge. Maybe the only card in the set that can do that by itself as it gets played. you will often want to find ways to start your engines and then get another speed on the same turn, because then you're already up to 2 and you only need to hit 2 more times in order to get to max speed. This card is very, very good at doing that. A great way to start off max speed for black red. Now, I said there were many vehicles in this set and that they were all bad except for the rare and mythic rares. There are a few that are not rare or mythic rare. Here's one of the exceptions. In blue, it is the Hull Drifter. It is 3 blue artifact vehicle 3/2. Flying, when this vehicle enters, draw 2 cards, crew 3. So when you look at this, not understanding the set from the outside looking in, this doesn't look that exciting. It is a 5 mana 3/2 vehicle, right? But it draws 2 cards. And in this set, there are not many ways for blue to draw cards. There's no really sexy Glimmer Burst. This is kind of as close as it gets to the Glimmer Burst of this set, in my opinion. I think the Hull Drifter is going to be just a nice, you get the vehicle for free kind of thing, in addition to wanting to draw 2 cards. It's also got flying, so it's not a terrible vehicle, but without the draw, obviously it's bad. And if there was other ways to draw that were much better, then this would also go down in value, but there's not. There's a ton of cycling in this set, so you can ditch some of your cards, cycle them for 1 or 2 oftentimes. But this is one of the best ways to draw cards, and you get a vehicle at the same time. It's also an artifact, which again matters for these artifact matter decks, which are all the blue decks. And you're going to see some payoffs like the Gear Seeker Serpent and the Memory Garden. They both have affinity for artifacts, along with other cards that have affinity as well. That means it costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. So imagine having 5 artifacts on board, and then you play a Gear Seeker Serpent, a 5/6 for 2 mana. That's pretty good. If you can even get a couple on board, 1 or 2 even. The Memory Garden is just a flying 3/4, which you could cast for probably 2 or 3 very, very easily. Very good payoffs for having lots of artifacts. I talked about pings earlier and how they would matter for speed. Well, the Dynamite Diver is that pinger. He's a 1 mana guy. You can get out there on turn 1. When he dies, he deals 1 damage to any target. And you'll notice he's a pilot. A lot of the pilots in this set say this creature saddles, mounts, and crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. But that's just some added upside. Basically, this means no matter what, on turn 2 in a red deck, you could play a card that starts your engines for 2 mana and then just swing with the diver. If your opponent blocks, you can then ping them in the face, for instance, if you really wanted to get to speed 2 on turn 2. Also, there are a lot of 3/1s in this set, which is important to note when rating this card. There are 7 3/1s, I believe, plus some vehicles. There's a lot of 3/1s. So if you can, play this on turn 1, your opponent then on turn 2 drops a 3/1, maybe even a second 3/1. Now you can block their 1 3/1 and then ping their second 3/1, and bam, you just blew them out with a 1 mana card. So there's a lot of 3/1s in the set. They will need to be blocked, and I think the value of 1 mana cards goes up slightly because of that. And I think cards like Dynamite Diver, because it can ping and hit face and up speed, is going to matter. And I think because he's a pilot that mounts things and crews things better, he's going to matter. I think this is going to be a really sought after red card. Next, we have the Grim Bauble. It is a 1 mana artifact. When this artifact enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. And 2 and a black, you get to tap, sacrifice this artifact, surveil 2. So again, with the artifact matters decks, which are going to be the blue-black, blue-white, and you can splash this Grim Bauble, this thing is going to be great in all those decks. This is one of the best artifacts to just plop it on the board, kill off one of your opponent's creatures, and then still get value from this being an artifact. There's also some cards where it matters how many artifacts you have in your graveyard, and you can sacrifice this artifact, surveil 2. So this card does it all. It's going to be very sought after in black decks. There's also cards like Hellish Sideswipe, which for 1 mana and an additional cost, you can sacrifice an artifact or creature. You could sacrifice Grim Bauble, and then you get to destroy a creature or vehicle. And in this set, there's not that many ways to create tons of just little fodder tokens. There's not little foddery creatures for the most part. There are a few, but it's not going to be easy to just be able to sacrifice creatures willy-nilly. So I think having something like a Grim Bauble is going to be a huge help for that deck. Next up, we got the Dracosaur Auxiliary. It is 4 mana and 2 red, and it is a flying haster. 4/4. It's 6 mana. It better do something big, right? So it comes onto the board, flying in haste, smacks for 4. But if it's got saddle 3, and if it attacks while saddled, it deals 2 damage to any target. So that means you can either, hit face for 6 the turn it comes down. If you only need a hit for 2, it doesn't even matter if they block. You can just, as soon as you swing with this thing, you get to pop them for 2. You get to take out a defender, etc., etc. This card is going to be a big finisher for red in the uncommon space. Then we got the nesting bot here. It is 1 white. Artifact, creature, robot. It is a 1/1. Start your engines for 1 mana is going to be sought after. When this creature dies, you create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. And the max speed is just nothing really. But the start your engines for 1 mana, the fact that it is an artifact creature that spits out an artifact when it dies, you're getting 2 artifacts right there. You're starting your engines for 1 mana. That is a lot of upside for a 1 mana card. This is going to be great in those artifact matter decks. Next up, we got the Canyon Vaulter. He's a 1 mana, 1 white. Whenever this creature saddles a mount or crews a vehicle during your main phase, that mount or vehicle gains flying until the end of turn. Here's one of those 3/1s I was talking about. This is the best one. It is able to give all of your big, scary vehicles flying, which is pretty gnarly. He's a great pilot because he's got 3 attack. So very, very good 2 mana card. And now for the last card I'm going to show you, it just completely destroys everything because we can now plow through for 1 green mana. We can destroy target vehicle. So if you've got any of those 37 vehicles, they all get blown up for 1 mana. The upside is you can also just target creature you control, fights target creature an opponent controls. So if you don't have a vehicle, which is going to be probably unlikely, most decks are going to run at least 1 vehicle, you'll still be able to destroy any vehicle for 1 mana, or the bailout is you get to fight. Green also has Broken Wings again, which is a reprint, and it's not particularly great in any set. It's never really that bad. It's always good in best of 3. Here, I think it's going to be main deckable. You can destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. There's some scary flying stuff. Flying is more important because speed. So if you don't want your opponent to keep hitting you in the face, even if it's only 1 and you would normally take it, now maybe because you don't want them to hit max speed, you have to kill off their flyer. Broken Wings can do that. It also blows up artifacts. Remember, there are 82 artifacts in this set, plus they all create more artifacts. You're always going to have a target with this, where in the past, maybe it would be a dead card sometimes. Not in this set. Broken Wings, definitely main deckable for the first time in history. I don't know if that's true. Lastly, I'm going to throw up the archetype guide here. It has all the different archetypes that there are. I'm going to quickly highlight the ones that I think will be good and bad. I think white, blue, and blue-black will be good if you can really get the good artifacts. Otherwise, I think black is a very weak color overall. I think that blue-white will be better. And then we have black-red is max speed aggro. I don't think black is good enough to handle this. Red-green is going to be great. I think green-white is going to be great. I think white and black, again, because of the black, I think it's not going to be that good. Blue-red, I think, is going to be unplayable. Black-green, again, because of the black, I don't think it's that good. Red-white is going to be amazing. And green-blue, I do believe it will be on the better side if you can get some of those really key cards like that Serpent. So that's everything you need to know about Aetherdrift in a nutshell. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed anything really important. And good luck on your Aetherdrift drafts.